think it's worth looking at, that handball has a really diverse population. So the population is really diverse. So like the tactical and the individual skills take up the like almost I think 50% of the pie.
Right.
So it's like if you have like an entrance to an exam, are you physical enough to play handball? Are you robust enough not to get injured? If you are yes, okay, then come in and we'll see how you play. Strength and conditioning coach is coming from the NFL, and he said something that I truly agree with. But yeah, we are trying to increase the ability for a player to injure herself or himself. We at the moment analyze four metrics: the training load, high-speed distance running, the changes of direction, so like micro movement, and the amount they spend above 86% of their heart rate.
Hello and welcome back to PA Chalk Up. Today we've got Martin. Hi Martin, how are we doing?
Hi, Manny. I'm doing well. Looking forward to the podcast, and actually, thank you for having me. This is going to be my first podcast, so I'm really excited to be here.
Nice. Now it's all good to have you. We've previously met in Austria and we sort of chatted up and talked, and then we spoke again last week, um, just about coaching. And it's the thing that we were just talking about off the podcast was that we just love to speak to coaches and learn from each other. I think that's quite very powerful when multiple nations can come together and talk about the same subject.
Yeah, I actually really agree with you. I think it's really great to socialize. And as we attended the same event, that's also one of the biggest focus I have outside of the event itself is just to be there and to talk to coaches because you never know what thought might ignite the fire in you and lead you in good directions and be able to discover those new directions and who knows who you might meet up in one of these events. So yeah, I'm
100%.
really happy to have met you there.
Yeah. No, so if you just give us a little rundown on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Martin Szucs. At the moment, I work for the Hungarian Handball Federation as a head of strength and conditioning. Previously, I've worked at National Handball Academy of Hungary for 5 years and also have worked with the youth and junior female teams of Hungary. We've won 3 European championships and we've got a silver medal at the Junior World Championship. So we've been quite successful. Those are the biggest achievements, and being 28, but when the podcast will be out, I'll be 29 actually. And being in this role is a really big dream of mine come true. And also we are preparing for the Paris qualification games, which will be in Debrecen the following week. And by the time the podcast will be out, we'll also know if we've reached our goal or not yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think this would be like a fast intro. I work as a strength and conditioning coach, but I got my bachelor's and master's degree from kinesiology. So trying to have like a really sports science based approach to strength and conditioning and to improving the players.
Yeah. This is something that we've spoke quite a bit about on this podcast is the difference between America S&C coaching and Europe S&C coaching. Whereas America, they're very much coach philosophy, coach based strength and conditioning. They do still include sports science, obviously, but in Europe, we're a lot more driven by the data and what kind of performance outputs we're able to get. How does that sort of help you with the national team for Hungary?
We are fortunate enough to have an indoor polar based system that we used, the Polar Team Pro. We also have force desks and Nordboard, so we are able to get quality data from many different sources. And we also have a laboratory for the national handball team. So, and we are trying to our approach from the data that we get. We also analyze the creatine kinase level of the players. So we have like baseline measurements when the players come in, trying to objectivize it as much as we can and
Mm-hmm.
then base our trainings on the data that we get. and having like the high-low system by Charlie Francis. So we usually have like higher days and lower days. We are trying to find the different parts of handball that can fit into this system. So, for example, a high load, a high day would include like fast breaks, one-on-one situations with lots of micro movements, changes of direction, agility work, lots of contact. And then you'd have like lower days when it would be like a lot more like tactics, where you'd have like refining your shooting skills and playing two against two, but not at the highest effort coming from the
Mm.
players, and also using the gym sessions to fit these goals as well. And we get the objective feedback from the system, and if we have to adjust, we adjust. So
What's the sort of measurements that you go through, and what is it that you are looking for within those tests?
the data that we analyze and we have recorded for the jumps, for example, three metrics are stored for easy lookup. The jump height calculated both from the flight time and both from impulse. We use the peak power relative to body weight and also modified RSI. These are the main metrics that are just for like a quick glance to see where the players are. But after the gym sessions, I usually analyze the whole jump. So also taking a look at the different force time curve,
Mhm.
uh, analyze those, analyze the different asymmetries that the players have. Have they modified their jumping strategy this way or that way? A few players have like different, like like jumper's knee, or they have like Achilles tendonitis. And in that cases, the counter movement jump test can be a really good diagnostics to see to take a look at the two legs, and
Mhm.
whether they can produce the same kind of eccentric force. You usually see, for example, in this case for like a jumper's knee, that one of the legs has a force time curve like this, and the other leg might have something like this. So we have
Yeah.
like this one and we have like this. So they can so the biggest force is in most cases is going to be like the eccentric part of the motion. But in that case, for that player with the patellar tendinopathy or like the jumper's knee, is they can produce the amount of eccentric force. So their peak force is actually the concentric force. That's
Mm.
usually a really bad thing, especially considering the forces that happen during, like, for example, a handball game. So we've seen in some cases that the player wasn't even able to decelerate, for example, like her own body weight in a counter
Yeah.
movement jump. And when we go to the court and they have like a full stop coming from a sprint, they would have to decelerate like 7 or 9 times their body weight. So in this case, that might be injury risk factor. So
Yeah.
that's why it's
So
really
with
important.
the measurements that you put out, you're also checking for imbalances and how that might impact them through injury as well.
Yeah, exactly. And as a national team, I think it's our job to communicate this to the teams.
In
Yeah.
terms of your jump performance, what equipment is it that you're using, and how does that help with measuring up these data points?
We have the WOD force plates.
Oh,
So I think they are top quality and truly
okay, I've
top-notch
got a
equipment.
question. Do you
Go
use
ahead.
the camera feature as well?
In some cases, yes, I've used it. I think it's a really great addition if you are doing it with an iPad, and you can truly like take a look at the different phases of the jump and how it looks with the camera. But I don't really like that feature in the hub because you have like the video as a separate one to
Mm,
the jumps. So it's really cool in the iPad. But if you have like 20 players coming after, you can't truly you just don't have the time. So if you have like separate players with coming back from an injury, for example, that's a really great addition.
100%. With the look into injuries, how prominent do you usually look at ACL injuries, and how do you try and mitigate that from happening?
Well, I've the podcast with one of the strength and conditioning coaches coming from the NFL, and he said something that I truly agree with. You can only prevent injuries if you are
Mhm.
sitting on the bench and you are not playing. When you get a body foul and you just can't stop it, or a player falls on your knee and you just can't do anything. But yeah, we are trying to decrease the ability for a player to injure herself or himself, and we are trying to take a look at these metrics. Also, from a Polar, we at the moment analyze four metrics: the training load, high speed distance running, the changes of direction, so like micro movements, and the amount they spend above 86% of their heart rate.
Yep.
So these are the four metrics that we take a look at longitudinally and compare it to the game averages, to see what load we have. So yeah, I think these are the main. So from my perspective, what I usually say is that you might have like an board result, and you might have an asymmetry of, let's say, like 12 to 13%, which is not that bad, but it should be taken into consideration. So you have like a huge bag, and you put that in there.
Mhm.
If you're a female, I'm sorry, but it also increases the risk of injury because of the several
Smaller
factors that we,
tendons.
yeah, because of the several factors that we know. You slept 4 hours because there was something going on. You also put that into your big bag. And once it's going to overflow, and then you'll be injured. But one factor
Mhm.
itself, for example, you having an asymmetry of 13% is not going to cause you. You'll have several factors, in my understanding, when you are going to get injured. Actually, I've torn both my ACLs. I've also played handball, and I can track it back to several different factors. There is really, really rarely a case when you have like one or two factors. There's usually
Mm.
several because stress is stress. So if you have like exams coming up, um, you have a fight with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, it's also going to increase the injury. And these factors are going to
100%. And I think the thing with stress, and a lot of people don't realize, and you've just touched on it, is like if you're going into the gym, you are stressing your body physically. So that's your muscles that's taking that blunt stress. But if you've got then exams, like you said, or any type of test or schoolwork to do, that is also stress. And people don't associate them to from being an injury factor or a, we'll say like a burnout factor. But they 100% is links with each other where you can so what we've started doing and implementing is if kids have got um, exams or tests or they're coming to the end of the school year where everything just ramps up, we'll actually start decreasing loads, intensities because they're already going through enough stress. So let's reduce it on our end so that they can still keep coming in.
actually, it's the same thing that we've done at the academy level. So where the players have like maturity exams from history, mathematics, Hungarian language, etc. And on those weeks, we adjust the training load. So we have and we have also less decision making in the
Hmm.
training, so less agility work. So we do like a lot more non-contact work where they don't have to, and also they don't have to make decisions, and that's how we were trying to decrease injury. And we've had really important games after the maturity week, and you could see that our readiness scores, like were going up, so we were going in the right direction. And when we had the maturity exams, they kind of lagged,
Plateaus.
and
Yeah,
then plateaued. Yeah, exactly. And then afterwards, the players were relieved. They've had a long weekend, and then we started going up once again. So you could
yeah.
see truly see these in the readiness metrics and also in the wellness questionnaires.
Speaking of readiness, is that something that you really look into throughout every session?
We've usually had three jumps every week and one before the game.
Mm.
So we've had like four, and the advanced questionnaires had to be filled out every training day. So if they've had a training day, they had to fill it out in the morning, first thing in the morning.
Yeah, so you go through like a diary type deal and a quantitative uh,
So they have
measurements
like
where
a questions how well you've slept, and you have to like give a number from 1 till 5. And there is
mm,
like different kinds of sentences. So I've slept like the worst ever. I've slept like the best ever. I've had an average night, and there are like different sentences so that the players will be truly able to grasp the feeling that
mhm.
they have on the given day. And I've
So
used z-scores. So we've had like a 7-day moving average. I've had calculated z-scores coming from the day scores, compare it to the previous ones, and that's how we were able to like make the decisions and also have like the counter move and jump test. So you have like a subjective and you have like an objective metric that you can take a look at it. And but I think the one thing that you can't go past is asking the players how
how
are
they
you?
feel.
Yeah, how they actually feel. So
Yep,
you have the data, but you have the player in front of you, and that is going to be the main decision marker that, look, how are you? You have the data, you see it, but you also ask it before the training session, and then you can make the decision. In some cases, we wouldn't have known that the player had lost her grandmother. But
yep,
because of the Vanish questionnaires, you could see that something was off. Her objective scores just some kind of a decrease, but not too much. But you ask the players, okay, we see that something is going on. How you feeling? And if you ask the players how he or he is feeling, you're also getting more buy-in for your Vans questionnaires because
100%.
she or he knows that it is being looked at. And I think that's
100%.
really important. Yeah.
How does that then shape the session for them?
At the National Handball Academy, we've used the catapult system, but for Polar, you also have like live data coming in. You usually do the warm-up. If necessary, you can adjust from there. Especially with all the players right now, you can take them out of, different parts of the training. So, for example, you have fast breaks, you take them off, you try to modify their load. So, if you, for example, have like some kind of endurance work, or the players who like to play like soccer for warm up in handball, and some
Hmm.
players might like veterans, might be able to do like cycling to warm up and do their individual mobility work, for example. So these cases might be it. Or if you have a player returning from injury, after a while you would take them out of like decision making if they are if they are not there yet in that part of their return to play.
Yeah, so is that based on the questionnaires or is that something that you'll check with metric data?
We try to objectify it as much as we can, but you really have to know the players, I think. And yeah. So it's not really that easy. And I always say that for the metrics that we do, everything, including everything, you only know when it doesn't work because there will be
Yep.
an injury that you did not expect. Because if you take the player out of the training session, you won't know if she or he would have been injured. You already know when your algorithms don't work. So I think it's really hard of the cake. So we've tried it, but it's really hard and it's really up to the coaches because in some cases the player has to, be involved in the tactical session. Or if you are preparing for a game and there's going to be
Mhm.
like a tactical piece where it's just based on the opponent that they have that we are playing. For example, in that case, if there's like a fast break part, he or she might not participate in that part, but afterwards in the tactical session, he or she is there.
With GPS data, I know you've previously mentioned that you'll look at accelerations, decelerations. With the decelerations, how do you measure that and what do you do with the braking forces? Because you said it can be up to 6 times their body weight.
I think it differs from if you are working with like youth or junior category or you are in season with professional players. In the beginning of the week, we might be able to involve more isometric or eccentric work. Or
Yeah.
at the end of the game, closer to the game, I really like isometric work as a post-activation potential. I think it's really good to include it there. Or if you have like a midweek game and you have like 3 or 4 days off afterwards, or 2 or 3 days off afterwards, then after the game or the day after the game, I think it would be good to involve long durational isometrics to protect the tendons as much as you can. So I think, yeah, and you have to have the players, be exposed to these kind of demands in the training session. For example, if you have a training session where we are going to do like lots of fast breaks, then they might warm up with the strength and conditioning coach and do like acceleration work, top speed work, and then afterwards they go to the handball coach and do the fast breaks. For example, we have like a training that the main topic will be like defense. Then you might do like changes of directions, agility work as a warm up. So you have to expose the players to these forces that when the game comes and they actually have to make decisions on those kind of speeds, they've been exposed to it before, or even like higher forces they've been exposed to, so that they'll be able to handle the stress and tolerate it well.
Yeah. With preparing for qualifying for the Olympic, how does those sessions differ to their sort of on season where they're on with their own club?
Oh, okay. What we quite often see is that during the national weeks, the training load might increase a little from the weeks that they have at home, because, for example, they have like one game in the end of the week, or some teams have like two games a week. So the training load might increase a little bit. So we really have to watch out
Hmm.
for that, so that it doesn't increase too much. As if you wanted to take a look at, like the acute chronic work ratio and things like that. So we really have to look out for those. And I think the phrase that what can you do in the beginning, in the week or at the end of the week, your player will be like more fresh, is just a little bit off. So as we have 2 weeks, we have like a kind of week. And the next week we'll try to taper off, just the players have to be fresh. You can't
Yeah.
do more to and expect them to be fresh. So you have to taper off. You have to be perform at a high intensity, but you have to take the volume off, I think. So like a normal taper, like some kind of a deload probably,
Hmm.
because we'll have three games in 4 days. So
Yeah, that's a lot.
recovery will be, yeah, yeah, it is, especially talking about handball. So you do have like lots of micro movements and lots of body contacts.
Yeah. So,
So
what's some of the
lots
considerations that you go through to prepare the handball athletes?
they have to be a top athlete. So if you take a look at, and they have to be robust. So actually, I think we can say it. We've met at a high intensity interval workshop by Martin Boucher. In his book, he has an X and Y axis, from like strength going that way, speed going this way, and endurance going that way. And if you take a look at handball, it's actually in the middle. So like
Mm.
fully in the middle. So you need speed, you need strength, and you also need quite a lot of endurance. So the players need to be really agile, really explosive, but they also have to keep these high efforts up for the whole duration of the game, or if they are being changed. So they have to be robust. You need muscular hypertrophy, so you quite need everything. But one thing I think is worth looking at, that handball has a really diverse population. So for example, you have a playmaker who is for a males, for example, who is like 174 centimeters tall and weighs like 75 kilograms. He's really fast, really agile, and he has really great court vision. Or you have another playmaker who is 194 centimeters tall, more than 100 kilos, really robust, really good in one-on-one situation, and making good decisions from there. or you have like a right back who is like 190, or you have a right back who is like 2 meters and 20 centimeters tall. So the population is really diverse. There is not like a one size fits all approach that
Mm.
you can take with the players, because you have players who are really good decision makers, have a really good hand. You have to keep them in the game. Or you have a player who is really physical, then you have to take that into consideration. So like the tactical and individual skills take up the like almost I think 50% of the pie,
Right.
like the physical part, which is like 35% ish, and the rest is like tactics. So like 20-25%, according to Martin Boucher and his book. So it's like if you have like an entrance to an exam, are you physical enough to play handball? Are you robust enough not to get injured? If you are yes, okay, then come in and we'll see how you play.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And like Martin Boucher has obviously achieved his own merits with everything that he's
Yeah.
done. With the run up to the obviously the Olympics and the qualifying rounds, what does the day look like for the athletes?
It depends. So in the beginning of the week, when we usually start out with a gym session. The first gym session of the week is pretty much the same every week that we meet. So we see where the players are at that moment, usually starting with creatine kinase in the morning. They come in, they have their gym session warming up, they do their counter movement jump tests. Afterwards, we usually have like fast breaks and defense on that given day. So that would be like day one in the morning, and like the basics, like have breakfast, have your gym session, come back, have lunch, have um, 3 to 4 hours off, have a video analysis session, go back, have another session. The place where we are at, we are able to use a cryo chamber. So if you have like a high day, not after the gym, but after the second training session, you can use the cryo chamber, for example. And in the evening, if there is something, the physios are here, so they can give out the massages, and if the treatment is necessary, we can also include those. And then we have dinner, and after dinner, we usually analyze the day that we have. So
Hmm.
how did the training metrics look? How did the readiness, or if we see something outstanding, then even after before the second training session, we talk to the coaches. But if not, then at the end of the day, we analyze where we are at. Take a look at like the counter movement jump scores, the averages. Where is the team at compared to the previous baseline measurements that we've had and things like that.
Hundred
So right now
percent.
we've had the best readiness so far in the year. So we are, let me just knock it, but we are quite looking forward to the end of next week. So far we've had like the best so far.
Yeah. How's the team sort of doing, and how are they feeling for the qualifyings?
I think to be able to attend an Olympic game is like a life goal of itself. So I think no motivation for us to motivate them. I don't think it's necessary. Everybody knows the prize that is here, and all the other three teams want to also go to the Olympics. So the players are motivated. I think the atmosphere is also great. Everybody's looking forward to next week. Like so, like
Yeah.
having like out stress, like good stress.
Yeah. With handball being a big sport in Hungary, I'm guessing that the whole nation's cheering.
Yes, and about 2 weeks ago, the men's also had their qualifiers also here in Hungary, and they were able to qualify. I was there cheering from the stands. It was a really outstanding atmosphere. The whole hall was full, crowded, really great emotions, really great performances were done by the players. So we were there in the stands with one of my colleagues who is also here, and we'll hope to achieve the same goals in 2 weeks. But now not in the stands, but also like standing next to the
Yeah,
team.
100%. With the your sort of job role and how you are like the lead in that, Hungarian handball team. What's like your job, and how does that trickle down through the sort of national team, and then players' own teams, and then how does that trickle down all the way down to grassroots?
Okay, so uh, my job outside when we have like these weeks with the national team is mainly keeping contact with the strength and conditioning coaches of the teams. I try to visit the teams also to see the sessions that they do, talk to the players. If I can go and make readiness measurements, for example, with a force plate, if the team doesn't have a force plate, I also send them the data, or just if they need it, I analyze the whole team's data, even for the players who are not in the national team. We go over the training sessions, what they are trying to improve, what were the goals of the training sessions, what I think of it, just having just a discussion like we are doing now. So I don't want to tell them that this is the only one thing that you should do and nothing else. Lots of roads lead to Rome.
Mhm.
So I don't think if I go to a team's training sessions, for example, every like 1 month or 2 months, I don't think I should judge the results based on that training session. So just having a conversation, calling them before the training camps, I usually talk to them what exercises they've done and things like that. So when the players come into the national team, I don't, for example, make everyone bench press if they don't bench press at home,
Mhm.
going to be sore for like 3 days, and the goal of the national training camp is not for them to be sore for 3 days and not be able to perform at their best. So if they do, like, for example, they don't bench press, but they always do like landmine presses, then I let them do landmine presses because that's not
Right.
going to be a decisive factor in our case. I also cooperate with the laboratory. For example, some players have had tried to communicate this to the teams. We have players abroad, so I also talk to those coaches. And if I'll have the opportunity, I'll also visit up with them. I also have to coordinate the youth, junior, and um, the under 17, under 19, and under 21s with their strength coaches. We've had like a testing protocol also made like 2 years ago. We have a point scale. So, for example, in a counter movement jump, for that age category, what counts as like 5 points and what doesn't even count as 1 point. So we've had done. We do those testing protocols twice a year in autumn and in spring. We give feedback to the teams based on the data that we have, and we also give out suggestions. But those are done by the strength and conditioning coaches at that team. We just try to organ.
With the preparation to go into the national teams, how heavily are you involved with the preparation for them to come in?
So for the players,
Yeah.
so the players usually have like one or two games a week. So we can't really like tell them that this is what you should do because the players are, coming from like seven teams with a
Mm.
different background. So that's why we try to gather the data on what kind of sessions they've had the previous week, how many sessions they've had. If the players have some kind of readiness, we also try to gather them. But that's why we do the baseline testing in the beginning of the week. So have our own data, because I think that's also going to be like the main decisive factor and the one that you really truly rely on. Because some teams might have like what force plates, some
Mm.
teams might have jump acts. You're going to get really, really different data from the two.
Yeah. With the obviously national level being the highest, what's the goals for your programming, and what do you include to make sure that they stay at the top of their level throughout the whole season and then coming into these Olympic games?
We have like training suggestions that are being stored in a Google Drive that I share with the strength and conditioning coach. There is a sample programming for 2 sessions every week, and it is a different one every month. We have like a baseline level, We also have like a different protocol if the players have a jumper's knee, for example. Other than that, different types of endurance training is also being shared with the strength and conditioning coaches of the teams for the players if they want to do like extra speed work, be it acceleration, changes of direction, or plyometrics or top speed work. There's like a 10 to 15-minute long protocol that they can do with video with videos, and after the movement improvement session, there is like a green, a yellow, and a red color coding, be it if they are feeling like really fresh. Then after a top speed work, they might do like 3 flight and sprints, you know. If they are not feeling that well, then they might just go through the movements and just have and just try to be relaxed, you know, for like three times three times 3 flying times, but try to be relaxed so you don't go all out. Or you have like red coding, you only do the movements and you don't do any sprinting afterwards. So that
Right.
is also being given to the players, and there is like a feelable portion where you have like a beginning of the week strength and conditioning session, middle of the week like a post-activation strength and conditioning sessions, or a game day plus one training session. So there's like 4 different training sessions that you have with suggestions. There's a filled out format, and there's also like a suggestion if you are like 2 days away from a game, what you should do. 3 days
Mm.
away, 4 days away, five, up to like 9 days. And like you should have a day off. You should do this. You should do that, and things like that. So we are trying to help out as much as we can. Have giving them suggestions because at the end of the day, they are the strength coaches. They're with the team.
Hmm.
I only see them
And they have a collective
three.
goal as a team as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and our goal is the same. I have the same goal as the strength coach of that team, that their players is injury free and
Hmm.
able to perform at her best. So we have a common goal. So I don't think there should be any problem between us.
How hard is it to create that buy-in with multiple coaches over 7 different teams?
Let me just say it has its beauty. So it works at different levels. So I don't know how much it tells you that the previous books that I've read, um, next to the strength and conditioning books, uh, were like How to Win Friends and Influence People by
Yeah,
Dale Carnegie, I think. Um, there is a book written about hostage
negotiation.
negotiation. I the it doesn't jump into my head, the title, but I really loved that book.
I've just read this film book as well.
Yeah,
It's
it's one of the best books I've ever read. So that one also, Leader Sit Last. I've also read that
Mhm.
one. So
Have you ever
my
read
job at
Conscious Coaching? Conscious Coaching?
yeah, by Brett
Ver-
Bartholomew. I
yeah,
don't know how to
Bertrand.
pronounce his second name.
Yeah.
Yeah, also read that one. So yeah, so my communication skills had to improve a lot because of to be able to
Dealing with
create
the
buy-in.
personalities. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So with some teams, we were truly able to transform their strength and conditioning game, and the players improved a lot. So we'll have like one on one side, and on the other side there is like teams that like don't want anything, don't even want to talk. But I think says a lot about them than about us, because just having like a conversation about things, we don't want to steal anything, of course. We just want to
Yeah.
have a discussion, and you know, as we just talked about, you know, what thought might ignite the fire. And we are more about giving to them from our perspective, giving to
Hmm.
the teams, than taking away from them. So I don't
100%.
see how it might be against anyone.
Yeah. And the thing with strength and conditioning that I've found is more often than not, coaches are willing to have a conversation around what they do, their processes, and how it works for them. But as strength coaches as well, we're very good at picking things apart from different programs and making our own solid program and how we work as coaches. Who's someone that you've sort of looked at that you've taken quite a bit from and adapted it into your own way?
I think the biggest one, especially in the beginning of my not too long career yet, was Cal Dietz and his triphasic training. I think
Mm.
that was the first big aha moment for me. And then,
I saw some of that influence when you were talking about isometrics,
yeah, yeah,
eccentrics, and
yeah.
concentrics. Yeah.
Afterwards, I was able to attend Alex Natera's isometric workshop. It was also in Vienna. That was one of the best days of my life from a
Hmm.
strength and conditioning coach's perspective. I really like Joel Smith work, also from a speed point of view. Chris Corfis, the same. I really like Bobby Stroop kind of approach to training Patrick Mahomes. He's the strength and conditioning
Hmm.
coach of Patrick Mahomes, so I really like his approach. The usual ones,
Being
Dan
comfortable
Baker,
in every movement.
yeah, and movement literacy. The usual. Dan Baker attended many of his
Hmm.
webinars. I really like the Rugby Strength and Conditioning Coaches forum. I'm also a member there. CAD, it's a huge and deciding factor. Brian Kula also. So many of the coaches from coming from the um, feed the cats approach. Never
Hmm.
let today ruin tomorrow. So I think speed is a really good contributor to us doing anything on the field. So it's a big goal. So like top athletes and
Hmm.
players being robust. I also like Jake Tura's work, especially with the isometrics for tendon pain. I think I have a PowerPoint that I've presented because I also t teach. I'm a lecturer at the strength and conditioning coaches course for handball, and I have like a page dedicated to like the my biggest influences. And
Hmm.
I have lots of names there, but also I can say like Devin McConnell. I think he still works at ice hockey. I really like Corey Schlesinger's work. He works at basketball, and also Paul Comfort is a huge researcher. So I have like really
A
lots of
lot of people,
influences.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, just especially I think the biggest takeaway from COVID for me was to be able to attend lots of webinars and lots of self-development.
100%. That's how we grow in this industry. The moment you think that you know everything is the day that you stop being a good strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, exactly. And they often usually say that if you take a look at last year's programming done by you and you wouldn't modify it
Mm.
or just think or even think that you were stupid, then either you were way ahead of the curve, which is not usually the case,
Nope.
or yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
there's usually something that you can always make better. And the good thing about strength and conditioning coaches, unless you get fired, you you get the chance to do it again
mhm,
and again
yeah.
and again.
Last week I was working with a few former players of mine, and we were doing some kind of drills for warm up for sprints. Uh, I was giving out instructions, cues to them. And one of them looked at me that you didn't ask us to do it like this a year ago. I
Mm.
said, yep, yep, really great observation. I didn't. But this is, and I explained the reasons, because we were doing like fire bounce drills from Brian Kula, so like warming up for like top speed work. And what I was asking them last year to be able to put like really huge forces into the ground. We know tangential velocity, and now I was also asking them to be bouncy, and they felt a lot more relaxed. And this way it will be able to, transform or help them better with the sprinting because they
Yeah,
were like this. I don't need them like this. I need them to be fluent. Yeah,
yeah,
so actually this was last week and it was quite the exact situation that we are talking about.
yeah. The thing with jumping and any type of springing and sprinting and any type of speed work is you can only be as fast as you attack the floor. and to be staying relaxed. Like if you see sprinters running, their shoulders are down. They're obviously some of them might not breathe the whole time, but there's still that relaxedness about the way that they're sprinting. The David Dweck, who is phenomenal at what he does, he invented the Busu ball, but he's got this great theory on running and the shoulder sway and how that
Mhm.
movement impacts running. Like I find his work fascinating as well.
Yeah, Joel Smith is also really big on these internal external rotations coming from the hip. There's like always a kind of rotation involved.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What would be some advice that you would give new strength and conditioning coaches from your
Find a good
experience?
mentor. Find a good mentor. That would be like number one. Someone who you can look up to and has a really good skin in the game, I think. This is not paid advertisement, but I think going for the rugby strength and conditioning coach website and doing the fundamentals one or two, I think that's also really good.
Yeah,
Um,
courses are
and
really good.
yeah, and try to visit and intern as much as you can,
Mhm.
and go there to those coaches that you truly look up to. So I
Yeah,
think th those
exactly.
would be it. Those would be it. And actually, that like I don't want to give out like the real basics, never stop learning and things like that. But in my cases, I always have like a book in my backpack, be it whatever topic, but or some have some kind of article always like opened, in your desktop, or some kind of webinar is always there.
100%. I listen to a lot of podcasts as well. Like I think, especially like the Mark Bell Power Project, he's quite good because he's obviously a legend in his own right. So just hearing his take and the amount of coaches that he brings on as well, that's one of my favorite one. Sick of Strength, that's a good one too. If you've never heard of that,
Yeah,
they're really good at what they do.
yeah, I really like the Joel Smith's podcast. I think it's also great. Jake Tura's Pacey Performance, also a good one. Those ones I quite often listen to.
Yeah, like it's just expanding. Just Fly Performance Podcast.
Yeah. Just like that one, that's Joel Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
What's your PR song?
PR song.
Yeah, if you have to
Uh,
like go absolutely ham on a lift, what's the song that you're putting on?
that is quite a good question, and I think it differs because I have like like different moods. Sometimes you are listening to Backstreet Boys, blasting "I Want It That Way," and you like
Oh no.
yeah, can't lie, sorry. Yeah, sometimes like that one, but sometimes when you have to harness like the black energy, then Five Finger Death Punch is my go-to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have like one. I actually got my like Spotify like
Hmm.
end of the year wrap up, and there is like a song called "The End." Well, that was my number one last year.
Nice. I'd rather that than the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, you should actually listen to that song. Really, really great lyrics.
Hmm.
Something you can refer to, especially if you are in that part of your life. But yeah, sometimes that one, sometimes even like Hungarian, or I might prefer like 90s and 2000s song, but in like a techno kind of like sped up
Hmm.
version. So it's like a really broad scope. Uh,
Yeah.
so for example, for upper body, I might have like something like like that, but for like a leg day or really like tough session,
Mm.
then who like like imagine like hoodie up and then five finger that punch and let's go. You
Just
need
pop
the
in.
you
Nice.
need to harness all the energy that you can get.
What's one Hungarian song that you would recommend PRing to? And how do you spell it? And
Uh,
I'll show everyone.
oh wow. Actually, I'm really like in a really good mood recently, as the weather is really great right now. It's Hungary. It's above 20 degrees Celsius, so it's like a feel-good song. It was
Nice.
it had won an X Factor. I don't know in which year. It's like a feel-good song. It's not
What's it
like
called?
rock or anything. Törj ki a csendből. Like
How do you spell that?
Torj, space like Ki space
Yep.
CSOOL. Yeah, the second one. The second one.
This one?
Just with that one, that's with the lyrics, and the above one, yeah, that's what the
Cool.
yeah. So
I will listen
like
to this.
yeah, and like rolling down, rolling down, driving in the car, blasting it, blasting the music and singing. People thinking you are stupid. What the hell? What are you doing? Having like 200 milligrams of caffeine in your system and like feeling good. Nothing can stop you. So perfect.
I would
Those
say
are the
wind
vibes, I
blowing.
think.
I would
Yeah,
say the wind blowing through my hair, but I have
yeah,
none.
kind of. Yeah, I'm still holding on to and onto it. But many strength coaches don't have hair, so I think that's what I tell myself.
Yeah, what I always say is all the great strength coaches don't have hair, so
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just joining in.
I've also started unfortunately bowling, but yeah, it is what it is.
No, perfect. Thank you so much for coming on and
Yeah, I'm
explaining us what
really,
you do
really,
in your
really
process.
happy to have been here, Manny, and also to meet with you. So I look forward to the future and hopefully meet with you. If
100%.
coming to Vienna for this kind of events or wherever, I'll also want to go to Manchester for the workshop that we've talked about. So let's hope to catch up in person next time, or just even
100%.
here. Yeah,
Hey, I
cool.
would love
And
to
thank
go.
you for having me.
I would love to go to Hungary as well. I love traveling, so if there's any,
Yeah. We should actually talk because I think I can get you like a round tour, and just visit a
mm,
few places that I think is worth visiting
yeah,
from a strength and
nice,
conditioning coach perspective. So I think we should keep in touch.
100%. I will do that. If you want to shout out your Instagram and where people can find you,
Yeah, feel free to if you can. It's like Martin, like with an underline, Szucs, like pronounced Szucs, 95, the year I was born. I don't have too much quality. Sorry, I don't have too many posts at the moment. I usually have like stories of my lifts or something I think is worth sharing from a strength and conditioning coach perspective, but I'm not too active there.
100%. No, thank you. Peace.